Hey guys, Toast here. Blizzard is currently in the works with a new patch that's going to bring some interesting changes to both competitive play as well as specific characters in Overwatch. To start, Blizzard is doing a pretty hefty overhaul to the ranking system for competitive play. Instead of fighting your way through ranks somewhere between 1 and 100, you're now going to be fighting for your place between ranks 1 and 5,000. The new tier system breaks down as follows. Bronze is going to be ranks 1 to 1,499. Silver is going to be ranks 1,500 to 1,999. Gold is going to be ranks 2,000 to 2,499. Platinum will be ranks 2,500 to 2,999. Diamond will be ranks 3,000 to 3,499. Master will be ranks 3,500 to 3,999. And then finally, Grandmaster will be ranks 4,000 to 5,000. Previously, if you lost a game or had a bad streak, you could find yourself being demoted in rank, potentially all the way back down to rank 1 if you were extremely unlucky. With this new system, while your numerical rank can still go down, you'll never drop out of the silver, gold, platinum, or diamond tiers, even if your numerical rank falls below the skill rating for that particular tier. This means that if you place as a gold, you'll stay at the very least as a gold. Now that said, if you find yourself in the Master or Grandmaster tier, you still have the potential of being able to fall out of those two particular tiers, making them the only ones that will always be an accurate representation of your current playing level. In addition to this major change, Blizzard also introduced skill rating decay. Previously, whatever rank you were at is what you stayed at regardless of how much time passed in between games, or if you ever even played again in that season after the first few days. For Bronze, Silver, Gold, and Platinum tiers, that's going to remain pretty much the same. However, for those players in the Diamond, Master, or Grandmaster tiers, you'll now encounter a skill rating decay in which your level will begin to go down after 7 days of no competitive matches. After 7 days have passed, players with a skill rating of 3,050 or higher will begin to lose 50 rating points every 24 hours down to a minimum skill rating of 3,000. By taking part in a single competitive match, you'll stop the rating decay. Those players who happen to be in the top 500 players will immediately drop out of the top 500 after no competitive matches for 7 days. This is a pretty major change and certainly will deter those who placed very well from the start from being able to maintain their status without having to play again. There's also been a change to the way in which competitive points will now work. Any points that you've saved from Season 1 will be multiplied by 10, and now, after winning a match, you'll receive 10 points instead of 1. The cost of all gold weapons has also been multiplied from 300 to 3,000, and there's a new cap on the number of competitive points you can have at any point, which is 6,000. Once you've passed 6,000 points, you'll no longer accrue more points by winning matches. One feature of competitive mode that's caused quite a bit of controversy has been sudden death. Blizzard listened, and sudden death is now being removed from competitive mode. This is likely going to be pretty well received by the community, as it was something that the community was quite vocal about in its level of displeasure. Instead of going into sudden death, draws will now happen in which all players in the match will earn 3 competitive points. Let's move on to some of the character changes that I think will have a somewhat significant impact on the meta of the game. Hanzo is getting what I would consider a pretty significant buff. Not only is his maximum projectile speed being increased by 30%, but his movement speed while aiming will only be decreased 30% instead of 40%. This means that not only can he move faster while aimed, but players also won't have to compensate as much for enemy movement, as his arrows will reach their targets significantly faster than they did previously. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about this particular change, because Hanzo feels pretty strong already. I don't necessarily think he needs to be even stronger. Mei is also seeing a significant buff, specifically to her ultimate. Previously, her ultimate projectile would bounce off of barriers, meaning that if you tried to throw it at a Reinhardt's barrier field or a Winston's barrier projector, you couldn't. This is no longer the case, and now not only will Mei's ultimate projectile pierce these barriers, but its freeze effect has also been buffed from an effective radius of 8 meters to now 10 meters. I felt like Mei's ultimate was maybe a little underpowered, and I think this is going to be a nice change in order to even it out a little bit more. Mercy's role as a healer is seeing a nice boost as the healing beam from her Caduceus staff has been increased by 20%, and if it wasn't enough to buff her healing, her ultimate is also seeing a slight buff as well. Players who have been resurrected by Mercy will now be able to move after 2.25 seconds instead of 3 seconds, giving the enemy team a little less time to prepare for the additional firepower, and her teammates a little more time to get to a safe place if needed. I don't really play Mercy all that much, so I'm sort of indifferent to this particular change. Zenyatta is seeing a bit of a nerf, which is interesting considering he was considered quite underpowered up until his most recent buff. His Orb of Discord's effective damage buff is being reduced from 50% down to 30%, however, to slightly counter this, his base damage for his primary attack is being increased from 40 to 46. Hopefully this won't put him back in the position that he was in previously where he was really seldom chosen. Lucio is seeing an interesting nerf to his movement speed buff. When you use Amp It Up, no longer will it boost your and your teammates' speed up by 100%, it will now only be 70%. I don't want to touch on this too much as I don't foresee a huge change overall to the game because of this. While teams may not be able to get to the objective quite as quickly, it doesn't seem to me at least that his meta and the overall game meta will be heavily impacted by this. The final change I want to discuss, and the one that I think many are going to be pretty frustrated with, is that Genji is seeing some pretty big nerfs to his maneuverability and his ultimate. Double jump is no longer going to reset upon wall climbing, meaning that heights that Genji used to be able to get to or escapes that he used to be able to do because of this mechanic will no longer be available to him. Swift Strike will also no longer allow him to pass through Junkrat's traps, and it'll no longer deal damage to traps like Junkrat's or Widowmaker's Venom Mine. Finally, and most importantly, Dragon Blade's use time is being reduced from 8 seconds down to 6, meaning that he'll be able to get in less swipes and be 25% less lethal. In my humble opinion, Genji was one of those characters that had a really high skill cap and took some finesse to play well. These particular changes I don't really think are necessary, as if Genji was really annoying to you on the opposing team, you could easily just switch to Roadhog or McCree and take him out quickly. But that's going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. How do you feel about the changes that are being made? Do you feel like they'll change the game and the meta for the better with these changes, or do you disagree with the direction Blizzard is taking? If you liked the video, please leave a like, and if you want to see more content, please subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Toast, and I'll talk to you soon.